Hey friends, welcome to another edition of 4 Minutes on Friday. Today, I'm talking about myopic vision. This is a reference to a condition where you are nearsighted. You only see what is close up to you, what is right in your immediate field of vision. And there was an instance with some construction that was going on in our city over the past. This started several years ago. And a conversation that I had with a friend of mine. And we were talking about two different construction projects. One happened, this is probably easily 10 years ago now, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but it was a while ago. And it was involving a bridge that led up to the neighborhood that I live in on the north side of my city in St. Louis. And then they also did some construction and some road work on some of the roads that were in really bad shape past the bridge, basically leading up to my house. So it made getting home very difficult. There was another way that could get me home, but it took longer. It was inconvenient. I would often forget and get right up to where the road was closed and have to turn around and backtrack. And I remember, and the other part is it took a lot longer, as construction does. It took a lot longer than they planned. I mean, they told us that it was going to be done by the end of the summer, and it dragged on into the early middle fall, easily that long. And I just remember having a lot of conversations with people because I live right next to our church. So anybody who lived outside of our immediate neighborhood coming to church now was a hassle, was a trial. Obviously, these are first world problems. This is not the end of the world by any stretch, but it was inconvenient. And then you compare that. So for me and my neighbors, this was like an incredible imposition. This was very difficult to use. I guess the parlance of the day. It was the worst. Then you compare that with this buddy of mine, Jake, and there was construction done on a major thoroughfare in our county, and he lives on that road. And it was inconvenient. But for me, because of where I lived, I could kind of side skirt a bunch of that construction, did not have to wait in the long lines. For him, getting out of his driveway was a huge problem because of the way things were backed up, and at times, only one lane was open and all of those kind of things. And for him, and of course, that project took a lot longer than initially planned. And for him, that project was the worst. As we were talking about this, we were kind of joking about how our definition of the worst is very dependent on how it affects us, the impact on us, largely alone. So for me, the construction on the road that ran right past Jake's house, quite honestly, it was a much bigger imposition to him than the construction that led up to my place. But for him, that was seen as the worst. For me, I kind of looked at it as, okay, this is a little inconvenient, but I can largely bypass this section of road that they're working on just by taking a slightly different route out of my neighborhood to get to meetings, to go to town, whatever. For him, he didn't have any idea even. This was before we had merged churches, before we were doing a lot of work together. For him, he didn't even know that there was construction on the bridge that crossed the river leading into the neighborhood that I live in. So our vision about those projects and how bad it was largely was a myopic view. It was right in front of us. It was the thing that was affecting us the most consistently, and that was viewed as the worst for us individually. Now, here's the thing. We have a tendency to do this with almost everything that we engage, everything that we touch, whether it is work issues, whether it is family issues, whether it is economic or governmental issues. We tend to look at it through the lens of how it impacts us the most. Now, I'm not even suggesting that is a bad thing. That's a human thing. That is a thing that happens across the board to all of us. So I'm not sitting here trying to suggest that this is a gigantic problem that needs to be overcome. What I am suggesting, and again, we're already over our time, what I am suggesting is maybe it is possible to stop looking at things simply and solely through the lens of how it impacts you. The things that are going on in the world, how does it impact other people? How does it affect others? Now, I'll just be very honest. I come at this from a position of a Christ follower. So my desire is to live a life that reflects the life of Jesus. The life of Jesus was consistently and continually bent towards other people, doing things, living life for others in the way that it would impact and change the life of other people. So his view is not myopic. It is very much out beyond the immediate effect on his life. So I would encourage you this week, this weekend, whenever it is that you watch this, to have a vision that extends beyond the immediate surrounding of your life and your world. All right, see you next week.